giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. They can't hold a good brother down too long. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! We're not going to let them keep me down, man. We'll talk about it. Cowboys begin the third week of training camp back in pads. I believe it's their 8th practice. And there's a lot of noise surrounding that practice. We got the unofficial depth chart we're going to overreact to. Yes, indeed. Permission granted. We're overreacting to the depth chart today just for some fun, right? Also, in the roundup, there were some roster moves made. Well, a roster move was made. A potential roster move, which is odd interest the Cowboys have. And then we've got guys that have made their debuts or have come back to practice and guys that are sitting out, taking some veteran rest days. So we'll get into all of that on or in the roundup. Also, you can call into the line. Look, we're going to take some calls. We're going to get through this thing. I promise y'all. And look, I'll update you in a second here. But what's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Look, if you were here yesterday, you understood what happened. It was a banger of a show. Once again, the PC is doing what it's doing, but I'm not going to bore y'all with that. It is being attended to. We should have something up and running by next week, actually, if all goes well. If not, that means that it's being actually shipped and it could take a few more days or whatnot. But we will have this situated before the season. I apologize. You know how I feel about that. I always feel like I need to give you guys an apology when those things happen. Me and Foots were killing it yesterday, and then boom, the PC just did its thing. Spoke with another tech person, and essentially what's happening is there's so much going on that I've pretty much choked out the PC to pushed it to its limit. So we'll be getting this whole thing situated. So stick with me, be patient. Thank y'all for doing that, and I promise y'all I will reward y'all with better shows, more quality shows. And just keep being here and giving y'all the consistency, all right? With that said, Cowboys Nation, let's jump right into this roundup because, it's a depth chart that dropped. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about it. Plus, there's some notes, if we could get to, we'll get to. All right, so let's go ahead and do this thing.
Now that we've said hello, let's get down to business.
Let's do it, man.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. Did y'all see this? Cornerback Damon Arnett. If you guys don't remember him, Ohio State product. Been in the league for a number of years, drafted 2019 first round pick. Apparently, I mean, I don't know how true this is here, but apparently he claims that him and the Cowboys are in contact. He'll be flying to Dallas, potentially talking contract. Okay. Did not see this one coming. We'll see, right? This could just be nothing. Well, what happened was apparently, he's been dealing with a lot of legal issues since he came into the league. I mean, hit and run, brandishing a firearm, assault with a deadly weapon, possession of controlled substance. Last summer, he was pulled over, right? Got a ticket for driving with a suspended license. They said, you know what? We'll let you go. We'll let the driver drive home. All right, here's your warning. Hours later, it gets pulled over again. It gets arrested for possession of controlled substance, paraphernalia, and obviously the suspended license. So I don't know what's going on with this, but I saw this get sent to me. I'm like, is this real? So I guess we keep an eye on this. The reason why it's a surprise to me, it's the room is deep. I get the Cowboys love to take these type of risks on players that have first round talent, but this ain't it. I don't think, I'd much rather use that roster spot on a different position. Kicker. What are we doing here? What are we doing? We gonna waste it on a cornerback? We got a nice cornerback room. The Cowboys cut Tristan Vizcaino after a horrible week and a horrible start to training camp. Let's just be real right now. Both of these kickers have been bad out there at camp. Both of them. But Aubrey, I think, has a more powerful leg. And we know that guys like Bones Fossil absolutely loves having a powerful leg for a kicker. They're going to give him every opportunity to take this job. Saturday, he's going to get all the kicks, kickoff, all the extra points. They'll probably, purposely call some crazy play to see if he can make a 50-something yarder because he hasn't quite done that yet in camp. But we'll see if he can do it out there. But he has a strong leg. He just has to, get some confidence, right? And that's something that Jerry talked about. First of all, Jerry said this here about Brandon Aubrey. We're very comfortable going into the season with him. Okay. I mean, I think he has to kind of gain some confidence, give Cowboys Nation some confidence, because right now, I don't think that's the case. But he is young, and that's something that Jerry likes in him. He says, quote, "Have you heard of the yips? Usually that goes with age. Aubrey's age is actually a positive. Not that a veteran player can't be a positive too." Now, y'all know I don't like to listen too much to what Jerry says, but this is hilarious. Look, I get it. The older you get, the weaker your leg gets and all that stuff. But Jerry, what does age have to do with it? Either you can kick or you can't. And kickers is kicking today about 45. So I don't understand. If he's a good kicker, he's a good kicker. We're going to find out on Saturday. But in camp, he hasn't been a good kicker. Mike McCarthy, when they asked him about the situation, he said, "We're always open to the possibility of adding a veteran, but I'm excited about our young guy in Brandon Aubrey." So, Aubrey, you up, bro? It's all you. You got the rest of the week, by the way, and you got Saturday to make a statement, essentially, right? Because we can't get into the season and have what happened in 2021. The Cowboys went 12-5, but they easily could have went 14-3. Greg Zuerlein missed so many kicks in the regular season last year. Then what happens? We flip it. Maher was amazing in the regular season. It was fantastic. Then we get to the playoffs. He misses 5 extra points. Now, he made a couple kicks, but he missed 5 extra points. And you have to wonder if there was some confidence issues from the staff when they were, driving. Like, hey, man, we feel like we got to get this because Brett Maher is not making kicks in the playoffs here. But so you just need to find. I would love if Aubrey's the guy, because I want to go back to a Dan Bailey situation where the Cowboys can lean on a kicker for at least 5 years, man. Hell, I'll take 3 at this point. But having a different kicker every other year is just not great, because these guys are so unreliable from a consistency standpoint that if you find one, you hope to get a Justin Tucker or a Buckner or any of these guys. But apparently they're few and far in between. So what happened out there at camp? Who was in? Who was out? CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard took some rest days. Luke Schoonmaker made his debut. He got out there, caught some passes, got his feet going. You can see the heavy feet in him, but he hasn't done anything out there with the pads or in general, really, since OTAs. So they'll integrate him in slowly. It'll be interesting, though, to see if he'll get any reps, Cowboys Nation. Do y'all think he should? Because I'm a little bit torn on this, and here's why. I think he's in a weird spot. I think it's going to be a challenge for him to get reps on Saturday. I say reps on Saturday is what I meant, by the way. He's in a weird spot because he's got to get out there, right? He's got to get out there to get acclimated for his sake, just to get himself involved in this offense and gain some confidence moving forward. But also for the team's sake. He's a second-round pick, and eventually They're going to give him every opportunity to be the starter of the future. I don't think they drafted him to be tight end 2. It's going to be up to the other tight ends to push him off, and the only other one is Jake Ferguson right now. He's a tight end 1. Machota on Jake Ferguson. Ferguson is the clear number 1 and the favorite to get the majority of the targets that had gone to Schultz over the past 3 seasons. So he might be the clear number 1 now, but you don't take a second-round pick tight end for him to be number 2. So I think they're going to try to give him every opportunity. It may not be this year. It may not be at the beginning of the year because he's way behind. But when do you get him out there? You only got 3 games. He's likely only going to practice in full maybe 1 or 2 times this week. Is that enough to start playing in the preseason? Probably not. Then you get to the second game, which is likely dress rehearsal. Will he be ready by then? And then your third game is, mostly backup throwaway type of game. So it is going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with Luke Schoonmaker moving forward, because he's so far behind in regards to being out there on the field and getting integrated with this offense. But he's going to get every opportunity to be the guy. It's just a matter of when will that be. Also, Israel Mukuamu came back in full. Dorrance Armstrong as well came back in full. And DA was out there playing well too. So it's good. It's good news to see that DA's out there, Sam is out there, Izzy is out there. For the most part, knock on wood, things are good on that front in regards to guys being available, guys, not being out for so long. Now you got obviously the Donovan Wilson situation and whatnot, but Ronald Jones hamstring situation, he's going to be out. But if you say, you get through 3 weeks of camp, preseason is going to be a different story, and you're just dealing with nicks and bruises, that's going to happen, right? You want to get out of this camp and out of preseason as healthy as possible. And so far the Cowboys are doing the best. And that's one of the things that I give a hat tip to Mike McCarthy and the staff. Guys like Luke Schoonmaker, Dono, Tyron is going to get, Terrence Steele, Tony Pollard. These guys are going to not be thrown in the fire every single day. They're going to bring these guys back slowly, which, again, I go back to Luke. If that's the case, are we throwing him out there? I don't think I'm throwing Luke out there this weekend. I would like to see him keep going, put some good practices together, but I'm a little worried if I throw him out there too early or too soon when the bullets are flying like that. He might push himself too hard at this point. That injury, we talked about it yesterday. It's not a fun injury to play with, so we got to make sure he's good to go for the season. So let's go ahead and look at this unofficial depth chart. This is going to try to be not fast, but smooth. We're going to try to smooth our way through this show to be safe. We want to start on the offensive side of the ball, Cowboys Nation. Again, unofficial depth chart, but let's overreact to it. Nothing surprising, I think, from the wide receiver standpoint. By the way, if you want to follow the top wide receiver, then there's the other 2 at the bottom. You got your big 3 in CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup. Nothing surprising there. Then you got Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, and Simi. That was the 6 coming into camp. But if we're being honest, the only one that hasn't really secured that spot to me is Simi. So Simi is likely fighting off Jalen Brooks. So again, unofficial depth chart. They're probably not going to overreact to the first 3 weeks of camp unofficially until we get to some preseason games. So if I had to overreact, I would switch Jalen Brooks and Simi Fehoko, right? That's what I would do if we're going to carry 6. You look at the tackles, nothing is different here, except for, I'll say this, Chuma Edoga. When Chuma Edoga was signed, I thought Chuma Edoga was going to be a guard. He played some guard for the Falcons. He was drafted as a tackle, but he's been getting whooped out there at tackle. But he's right now your backup tackle. That is interesting. Your backup left tackle, I should say. But in reality, if something were to happen to Tyron, the way it's looking, I think Tyler Smith goes out there at left tackle. But this is just a depth chart. I got to put it here. The center position. Brock Hoffman. I know there's some Alec Lindstrom fans in the chat here. Brock Hoffman is the backup center. Brock Hoffman was getting into it with some of the defensive players. I'd love to see it. But he's right now listed as the backup center. If you look at the interior, the depth guys, and we'll talk about this with the notes. Matt Forniak, Brock Hoffman, Josh Ball, Alec Lindstrom, Austin Richards, TJ Bass. It is scary season. Scary season, man. I'm just gonna be real. I'm the unit I'm going to be watching the most on Saturday is the interior offensive line. The running backs are going to be fun. That'll probably be the unit that has the most competition. But we need somebody to just snap. Because if there is an injury, and then there has been over the last 3 seasons under McCarthy with this offensive line, I'm shooketh. But Zach Martin is listed as a starter, but he's out right now. So right now you got Forniak and Ball splitting reps, and it ain't been great, you know. So a little worried about that spot. Let's jump to the running backs. We're talking about the running backs. Look, y'all, they love Rico Dowdle. We have to remember Rico Dowdle, who's listed right now as RB2. Rico Dowdle beat out Malik Davis last year. He did. And those two guys were like kind of neck and neck in a sense during the preseason. But Rico Dowdle in 2020, 2021, and 2022 was a guy that they coveted. He was a guy that made the team, but because of injuries, he went on IR. So right now, unofficially overreacting, Rico's your second running back. And I personally don't think it's a surprise because he's a guy they're high on. And rightfully so in the sense of talent. It's never been about, can Rico Dowdle play? I think he can play. He showed you in preseason he can play. It's, can Rico Dowdle stay healthy? Then you got Malik Davis right now unofficially as your third guy. Ronald Jones, I don't think he'll make the team because of the whole suspension and whatnot, but he was already fighting uphill battle. And then you got Deuce Vaughn and Hunter Lipke. But again, unofficially, right? I don't expect Deuce Vaughn to not make this team. Not at all. I think Deuce Vaughn makes this team. And look, he might not have a bunch of packages every week, but it wouldn't shock me if he was involved behind Tony Pollard. Because unlike the last few years, real quick, let me bring you back. Unlike the last few years in Dallas, the 1-2 punch of Tony Pollard and Zeke, there wasn't really room for a third guy, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think they're going to roll with the 1-2 punch this year. I think it'll be Tony Pollard and then committee. It's since stable, right? There's a stable of backs. 1-2 punch for the last 2 or 3 years, but now we're going to go with feature back with a committee behind it, basically equating to a committee. So there is room for a Deuce Vaughn to get touches each game. How many? That depends on how they use them. I love how we saw some of yesterday on at practice, getting him involved in some pin and pulls out in space. He's a satellite back. You want to get Deuce Vaughn to rock right now. You want to give him the ball, dump it off screens. He can run too. Like, he can run up the middle, whatnot. But if you can get him out there in space, man, he's gonna make dudes look silly. And they had this one play where I want to say it was Michael Gallup, or one of the receivers, came down, got the block. They pulled Tyron Smith out. Now he's following that tank. Imagine a 5'5" dude running behind a 6'5" guy. You can't see him, right? So I would love to see some more of that action. We saw that last year with Tony Pollard, getting him involved in some orbit motion type things and out in space. And I'm talking about the game against the New York Giants. It did a lot of that. So I expect Deuce Vaughn to make this team. At this moment, I also expect Rico Dowdle to make this team. So what do? Do you go 4 backs? I also don't expect Hunter. And look, overreacting, right? Week 3 of training camp, we ain't played the preseason game. But I said this yesterday on Vacha's show. The way it's looking, I don't think Hunter Lipke makes the team, but possibly the practice squad. So it's very early, but that's where I'm seeing it right now. Tight ends. Right now, Jake and Peyton Hendershot are your starting tight ends with Sean McEwen and Luke Schoonmaker as your backups. And again, this is another interesting one because John Stevens is a fun player. We had this conversation yesterday. John Stevens is a guy I think they're going to try to sneak on the practice squad unless he goes absolutely berserk in the preseason because they love Sean McEwen. They love what Sean McEwen can do from a versatility standpoint. Luke Schoonmaker's your second round pick. Jake Ferguson's your tight end 1. Peyton Hendershot is an up and down guy, but they like Peyton Hendershot as well. So if I had to guess, I mean, and look, we're just talking now. There's no definitive thing here. I don't think it's a Sean McEwen versus John Stevens. I think it might be if you're talking about battles, right? If you're trying to get John on here, who's he fighting with? I think it might be Peyton Hendershot versus John Stevens. Think about it for a second. Jake is your dual guy. Luke is your second round pick. Eventually, Luke is going to be vying for tight end 1 at some point, likely, but definitely has to be tight end 2. He can't be a second round pick and not at least be a tight end 2. So Jake and Luke are going to be your top guys. They like what Sean McEwen can do. He's versatile. He can block. He can go in the backfield, play fullback, and he can secure the catch. He's not special or anything. What are the similarities between Peyton and John? They're receiving guys. And not guys that are going to do too much blocking for you. They're receiving guys. I think what Peyton has in his pocket, though, what he has in his pocket is last year he did some cool little things, right? He did a lot of motion things. He carried the ball out the backfield, reverses. So he's a move around guy. Can 6'6" John Stevens be that? Or they say, look, I don't care about that. He can go up and get the rock. Athletic. He's raw as hell. He's not a tight end in general. He's a wide receiver converted to a tight end. So if you were trying to push him on this roster, I think it's Peyton Hendershot versus John. But you got to be careful because you don't want to get into a situation where you have an inexperienced guy like John Stevens having to play and he's not knowing what to do out there. So I think if I had to guess right now, August 8th, they're going to try to sneak John Stevens on this roster from a practice squad standpoint is what I mean. But the tight end room it's a lot of young guys, but I still feel good about it because you got forward back there, you got these wide receivers, and they're not going to be asking, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be asking these tight ends to do what Dalton Schultz was doing, where he was like his second or third guy. These tight ends are going to be your fourth or fifth option. You know what I'm saying? Between Tony Pollard, the big three at wide receiver, they're going to be your fourth or fifth option. So I know whoever the tight end 1 is going to get the Dalton Schultz looks, but I don't think they're going to be a 70 catch, 80 catch type of situation, especially in this West Coast offense where now you're going to have these wide receivers on the move in the intermediate routes, and it's going to be more advantageous for you to get them to rock than to maybe curl up from a tight end. You're going to start seeing these tight ends get down the field more often, I think, blocking, obviously, right? And being security blankets, but I don't think you're going to see high-end numbers from any of these tight ends, like 800-900 yards, every year. I think they're going to try to get these wide receivers involved, and the tight ends are going to be a product, which Schultz was too, but a product of what's around them, which is nothing is wrong with that. You just want these tight ends to be able to take advantage of the opportunities they get. And I think between Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker, you've got guys that can do things with the rock. Ferguson was one of the best tight ends with the ball after the catch, making guys miss. And then Luke Schoonmaker has the athletic ability testing wise, right? He can get up the field. He has some of that speed. He's a big dude. I mean, Luke is truly a big dude. So you got two guys that he didn't do great after the catch, but you got two guys you hope can make some big splash plays in between your other guys getting the rock, your main guys getting the rock. So that is the overreaction to the offensive side. I'll take a couple calls and we're going to flip it to the defensive side. I believe this is my guy, our Redding brother that we haven't heard from in a long time, man.
Well, good morning. God bless you and your family and your show and your brother watching his family. Like always, just wanted to say, I'm really satisfied with what I'm seeing so far in training camp. We gotta wait to see if it translates over in the regular season. But honestly, sure, if you're a Cowboy fan, you can't ask for any more. They're looking good. That's all I got for the show. And God bless and keep up the good work like always, my brother.
All right, man. Thank you for the call. Good to hear from you, bro. Let's get Charlie Murphy. He just called in here. What's good, Charlie?
What's up, man? freaking just looked at the depth chart. You really think Deuce Vaughn is running back 4?
No, well, Ronald Jones isn't
Like-
going to be here, so Deuce is going to be,
Yeah.
he's going to be involved. But I don't know if you heard my opening monologue on it. I think Deuce is going to make the team, but they just have him there. I think this is probably the depth chart to open camp, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because if I had to put money on it, I know they love Rico, and I know Voch loves Rico. But honestly, I think the top 3 are probably going to be TP, Malik, and Shortman. But I think Rico's going to be able to be stashed on the practice squad for sure. So those are my predictions for the running back group.
Yeah, they've never cut Rico. Rico's made the team pretty much every year. He just got hurt. So I think think it'll be opposite. I think Malik at this moment, right now, I mean, Rico sucks in the preseason. He sucks. I think they would, if they were to cut a running back, I'm telling you, bro, they love Rico, bro. I think it'd be Malik.
I think Malik got some potential though, bro.
Sure.
I think Malik actually has potential.
I mean, that doesn't mean
Rico have that potential.
Just because you cut the guy doesn't mean you don't believe he has potential. They sometimes cut these guys hoping to get him back on a practice squad, and that's what happened with Malik Davis. Everybody and their mama said Malik Davis is not going to make it through waiver wires. What happened? He made it through the waiver wires.
He did. Yeah, he did. I just think he's gonna have so much of a better preseason this year than he even did last year. Like, I think people are actually gonna watch and see Malik in the preseason. Awesome. And it's like I think like Rico healthy does potentially have better value than Malik, but I love Malik, man. I think we should have utilized him in San Francisco that playoff game, but I just love Malik. I don't know why, but
I don't love Malik. Yeah. I don't not like Malik. I think Malik Davis is a good. I think he's a standard good running back. I think Rico is as well. Like all these guys can run the ball. Like I don't think any of them have this except for Deuce. He has I think an elite skill set. But I think between Rico and Malik Davis, none of these dudes are like wow players. But I think they can be productive players in this offense. So it's a matter of who do they like better. And Rico kind of gives you more of that special teams ability. He was pretty good in 2020 when he played on special teams. And, they both run hard. Malik has some burst to him. I think they're good backs, man, but it's going to come down to who they like.
Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, we got to remind ourselves, like, TP is going to be our workhorse with Deuce Vaughn sprinkled in and then a little bit of whoever RB2 is. So I'm not too pressed. It's not like we're talking about RB1 right now. So I'm not too pressed about that. That's my thoughts on it. But my biggest concern, honestly, out of the offensive side throughout camp videos that I've seen, talk, all that, we need to make sure Zach Martin comes back, man. Like, we cannot have Tyler mixed in with, let's go, or Josh Ball on the right side. Like, Tyron Smith goes down, and then now we're trying to having to figure out the left side along with not having your Hall of Fame, right guard. Like, that's our biggest weakness, I feel like. And we've still moved the ball pretty well from what I've seen on, the short videos and everything I've seen on Twitter. But, like, I think that offensive line really, really needs to either we trade for a veteran offensive lineman or something like that, let's resurrect your career type of thing over here in Dallas, get some help. But we need to do something for the offensive line, kind of like we did with Anthony Barr for the linebackers last year. Do it for the offensive line this year. We need help there. That's the only thing I got, though.
Yeah, every year there's a veteran guy they bring in here around this time, really, too. They did it for the first 3 years under McCarthy. This year, who will it be? Will it be a kicker? Will it be O-lineman? Will it be – we were talking linebacker before, but I think O-line needs to be addressed. But I think they're going to wait till the preseason game. That's what it sounds like. But I'm going to let you go there, Charlie. You sound like you got something going on back there. Oh, good. Salute. Appreciate Charlie coming through. Yeah, it was this day, I think, August 8th, last year. One of these signings. Anthony Barr. I know Malik Hooker was in July. I remember that. Malik Hooker was in July. And then you had Everson Griffin the year before. So Anthony Barr, I think, was signed on this day. I think August 8th last year. So they didn't try out any kickers. Also, it might have been Maher. Maher was brought in here around this time as well. So they brought in 2 veterans last year. I think if I'm going to bring in a veteran, it has to be offensive line. Like, your offensive line depth is dealing with some issues without having Martin there. And again, I know he racking up the numbers, and I know they're going back and forth with everything, but this is just nasty. I think it was Brian Broad who said it's a mess. It's a mess on both sides. It's a mess where Martin is losing. They're going to lose $1 million at this rate. And then it's a mess because the Cowboys' offensive line interior has not been great and giving anybody any confidence moving forward. You figure you can get by from a pass rush standpoint because we've seen that. We've seen Dak be able to throw the ball all across the field with not a great pass blocking line. But I think to really, really get the best out of this offense, you still want to be able to run the ball efficiently. And if your line can't block it, right? If you can't create up front, now you got to start playing all these games with scheme, right? And that's fine. You want scheme to be a part of it, but you don't want it to be the only thing. You need your line to be competent. So are they going to be able to move against the Giants of the world, the Eagles, the division? Well, look at the division on the interior. I think you need Zach Martin. Let's get one more, then we'll flip it over to the defense side of the ball. What's good, Jake the Great?
What's happening, Scott Walker? excuse me. Bomb Squad, good morning. I like that. I like the depth chart they just came out with, but I don't really agree with the last caller. I'm with you, Scott Walker. I think we're gonna keep 3 running backs, but I think we're gonna end up cutting Malik Davis, and I'm feeling Rico Dowdle. I went back and I watched that blue and white scrimmage.
He's good.
Man, there was one play, Rico put his foot in the ground, and man, listen to him and Deuce are gonna show out. So wait a minute, that's gonna be 4 running backs. Yeah, well, regardless, Deuce is gonna be on the team some way somehow.
Yeah.
But I think the guy that's gonna be cut is Malik Davis. I'm with you on that.
And I'm just talking.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, it's August 8th, right? If you had to say, Sky, if they only gonna run with 3 backs, who do you think they'll be? Based off the tea leaves, based off of what's happening down there, they love Rico. And Rico's not a bad player. Like he played well in the preseason. He shows out all the time in camp. It's just about injuries. So I don't think this is a lie here. I think Rico is to them their RB2. So then you say, okay, well, Deuce is going to make the team, right? I do think he will. So if they're only carrying 3, who's the odd man out? It's Malik at this point. But if they carry 4, then I think Malik makes the team. Now, all this can change, Jake. Again, it's August 8th. They go out there in these preseason games and Malik Davis just goes off, then Malik Davis, I think, will take the leap if Rico Dowdle doesn't keep up with him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Rico or Malik, none of these 2 dudes are safe just yet. They're going to go out there and compete for it. But right now, if you ask me, I think the way the depth chart looks for RB2 wise is the way it'll go for right now. Right now. Because there's people that's probably like, oh, there's no way. Malik Davis is a good player too, man. And he'll go out there and prove it.
Right.
But right now, I do think they value Rico more at this moment.
Yeah. And on the tight ends, right, we're going to have the regular 3 tight ends. You know, the 3. I know they're going to keep Schoonmaker, but with that John Stevens-Jones, man, if it was the old regime, I think we would be able to try to sneak him into the practice squad. But with this West Coast offense, the man is shining in camp. I didn't even know his name. Now I'm on YouTube trying to find which school he went to and all this info. He looks like him. He looks like that guy. You think we're really going to be able to stash him in the practice squad?
Yeah. This happens every camp, every year. Somebody, fans, he ain't, first of all, calling him is a bit of a stretch now. Let's slow down.
All right, let's stretch.
Look, y'all. Look, man, I love hearing these things from all these young players, but we calling this the undrafted 6 tight end him is crazy. But look, John Stevens, I think actually, unless he goes berserk in preseason, could definitely make the practice squad. We do this every year, Jake. Do we not?
Yeah,
we
do.
I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it no more. I'm not ever saying, man, this guy's not gonna make it through. I'm not doing it no more. Because every year we say this guy's not gonna make it through. And they make it through. Now, again, if you want to put him on the team, I think he will be fighting a Peyton Hendershot.
Oh, you think he'd be fighting Peyton Hendershot? I thought he would be fighting like Sean McEwen. I thought Hendershot was locked in for 3 for sure.
I think Sean McEwen makes sense, but then when you think about it, right, he's doing fullback things. He's doing inline things. They spread them out. Sean McEwen's doing a lot. Who's one of the first players that Schottenheimer mentioned when he won the podium? Sean McEwen.
Right. Facts. And one last thing, right? A caller called in saying he went to camp, and he said Matt Walesko was looking pretty good. Do you think that they're going to put him in like as the swing tackle? Is he working in both sides? Because I did see him look good on the blue and white scrimmage.
I haven't seen him on the left that much. Anybody that's been down there at camp, this is why I can't wait till they come back down here to Dallas because I'll be at those camps. But I've only seen him, again, he could have been on the left side, but I haven't really taken much notice how many reps he's taken over there. So if anybody that's been down there has Matt Walesko taken a lot of snaps over there. I'm not quite sure. I know I've seen him on the right side a lot, though.
But appreciate you, though, Scott, man. Thanks. Yeah. And Bomb Squad, have a great day.
Salute.
All right.
But am I lying, though? Like, we do this every year with specific guys. Like, there's just no way this guy's ever making it through. You know, and we forget there's 25 other John Stevenses, you know, in the league. But we're so focused on our team, we don't really understand or realize that. So, again, as speaking right now, August 8th, yeah, no, I'm not concerned about him making it through. Now, if he goes out there and, you know, he's blocking dudes, he's making all types of crazy catches, he's going berserk with the first team or whatnot, because right now we got to remember he's basically taking snaps with the third team, then things change. But there's an athletic profile there that is exciting from a future standpoint. So I would love to keep him around this team and kind of groom him and develop him so he can maybe slide up in. McEwen's not going to be here next year probably, right? There's no guarantee on Peyton Hendershot. Your really only guarantees are Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker. So you're going to need to have somebody in that farm system. And the reason why I pit Peyton and Stevenson together, because they are the receiving guys. They're the receiving guys. And I think you want to keep at least 2 or 3 guys that can do kind of both. You want to kind of have that one dude that's just athletic, right? That receiving type of tight end. And I think the Cowboys look at Peyton Hendershot as that guy. Let's flip it over to the defensive side. I don't think there's too many surprises here. I mean, there wasn't no surprises offensively, but defensive line, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, and they have Micah Parsons labeled as linebacker. Let's remember when Micah was like, oh, no, I'm being a full-time DE. Dan Quinn said, nada. Micah, come here.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you real quick. Don't be going out here telling people you're a full-time defense end. So they got Dorrance Armstrong and DeMarcus Lawrence as your bookends. And they have Micah and Leighton Vander Esch as your linebackers. Now, here's what's going to happen in the game. In the game, it's likely going to be Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark as your guys. And Micah Parsons will continue to just move around and probably play a whole lot of snaps on the defensive line. So that's something to keep an eye on. Jonathan Hankins, Osa Digizua, not a surprise there. Mozzie Smith, and then Neville Gallimore. So I know there was a video that got put out on Twitter where Neville Gallimore got lifted. It happens, right? But Pat was like, hey, man, Neville's been winning. He's been winning more than he hasn't. Again, this is the unofficial depth chart. So if I had to guess, I think this depth chart might have been made coming into training camp. But nonetheless, let's overreact. Neville Gallimore over Quentin Bohanna, Cowboys Nation, and Bohanna is starting to stack some good days. Is it an overreaction to say that because of this depth chart, Neville Gallimore is making the team? He kind of scoffed at, he got at John Owning on Twitter. He kind of scoffed at John Owning that said, if you need further proof that Neville Gallimore is not making the team, and he showed the video of him getting lifted. And Neville was laughing at that. Is he safer than we think? Because I'm not going front. Like, Neville was on the hot seat coming into camp. I said Neville's going to have a good camp. Sounds like he's having one. I'm not down there, but it sounds like he's having a good camp. In fact, the interior, the Hankins, Osa, Mozzie, Neville, Bo, and Chauncey, it feels like all these guys are playing well. So you go heavy. 246. You go 6. If Neville proves it, yeah, right. If Neville proves he belongs on the team, then you keep him on the team. And I said this about Neville, and I said this about Kelvin Joseph. If those two dudes have the same camp they had last year, they won't make this roster. It sounded like Neville was not having that camp. So, overreaction, Neville Gallimore making this team? Jay said Neville does nothing. Sir says Neville staying. Big Dow says Big Bo making the team. I think so as well. He said he's Garbo. Overreaction. If it's an overreaction, yeah, it will be the overreaction. But we got ways to go. What else here? Viliami Feoko, and apparently that's not how you pronounce it, but whatever. He's going to make the team. He's your 4th round pick, but again, he might be one of those picks that are inactive game days. This defensive line is just it's too deep, bro. It's way too deep. So I think he'll be an inactive, but he's young. He'll probably get transitioned inside by next year. Linebackers. So you got, let's just pretend Damone and LVE are guys. You got Jabril Cox, and I think Demo. It sounds like Demo is a guy that they're putting more on his plate, and he's answering it. We saw, well, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a interception to end practice. What was it? Saturday, yo? Demo had a crazy pick, a tip. He fell on his back and still called, and I think he has a couple in the camp. But DeMarvion Overshown is showing kind of that athletic ability and whatnot. And I had this conversation with a lot of people on Twitter with the LVE situation. So LVE is doing more DE things. Y'all know how I feel about that. I think is silly from a rush standpoint. He looks not good at doing it. I personally would love to see Demo take over that role. I just don't think right now they believe he has the bandwidth to do it. And what I mean by that is LVE is a veteran. LVE can handle, hey, I got to drop back into my zone coverage. I got to man up on this guy. I know how to, fake the blitz. I'm a 6-year veteran. I can handle this, right? I can be the green dot guy, get everybody situated, as well as add this to my plate. So mentally, he can do it. But I think physically, give me DeMarvion Overshown. Give me the WM Demo, weapon of mass destruction. Give me the WM Demo to do that specific role. And moving forward in the future, if we decide to keep this role, I think that's the guy to do it. 100%. Malik Jefferson over Devin Harper. I was talking to Professor O yesterday about this. So Devin Harper and Malik were battling last year. I think they won with the pick because that's what they do, right? They covet their picks. But I still don't know if Malik is going to make the team. Especially if Micah's going to be viewed as a linebacker on the depth chart and they want to go heavy on the defensive line. Let's just pretend, right? You got Micah, LVE, Damone, Jabril, Demo. That's 5 right there. And this team runs so much big nickel. I don't think they'll see the need to carry 6. But Malik and Devin Harper will be a fun battle to watch in preseason. Cornerback wise, I don't think nothing crazy here. Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland are your starting 3. Eric Scott, Nashawn Wright, Kelvin Joseph behind him. That's pretty much what it is. Now, you'll see Jordan Lewis back there in parentheses because he's on PUP. When and if Jordan Lewis returns, that's when it gets interesting. Eric Scott's a lock. We understand that, not just because he's a pick, but because he's also performing well. We had a deep conversation yesterday on what do you do then between Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright. It feels like Nashawn is battling more in the sense of, hey, yeah, I might get beat, but I'm making some plays. Where Kelvin, again, I ain't down there, but we see him get beat, but we're not seeing him make plays. I've said this a number of times. You're going to get beat as a cornerback. It's going to happen. But can you make plays to combat that? For what, 3 training camps, multiple preseasons, and a couple regular seasons. This hadn't been the case for Kelvin Joseph, right? So Kelvin Joseph right now, if you were to carry 6 corners, he's going to fit in that because of J. Lou. But J. Lou comes back. I think Kelvin Joseph is the one that's getting a knock at the door from the Reaper. I do. And I don't think anything else here is surprising. J-Ron, Malik, Dono, your big 3, Israel, and Marquise Bell. I think those are going to be your safeties. I think they'll carry 5. We'll see if they can sneak Wanye on the practice squad again. He's performing well. Tyler Coyle is kind of becoming. Remember Jamil Showers just always just stuck around on this team for like 2-3 years. I think that's Tyler Coyle. He'll just come right back on the practice squad. Cornerback wise, CJ, I think he's going to make the team. Special teams dude. So I don't think there's a lot of surprises here. Now, this is interesting. Isaiah Land, wasn't he labeled as a linebacker at one point? And maybe they're putting him back at defensive end. I'm going to tell you what. And I wanted to save this conversation for Friday, and I will. But I'm really excited to see Isaiah Land and Tyrus Wheat on Saturday. I am. I want to see these guys get after it as pass rushing dudes. Let me, before I get back to the horns, let me get to a couple of these super chats. I want to make sure I get to them now because you know how the PC like to do.
Super chat.
Billy dropped 1. Billy dropped 2. I mean, he said, what you think of Quinn going 5-3, 3-4, 4-3, using safety as linebacker? So Billy, Dan Quinn is a versatile, multiple defensive guy. He's going to show many different looks. I don't even think you can say the Cowboys are this or that. The Cowboys are multiple. Think Bill Belichick. No. Peak Bill Belichick Super Bowl runs with the Patriots. They ran multiple schemes up front, but this is even more multiple. So they'll run a whole bunch. You can't say this is a 4-3 defense. Can't say it's a 3-4 defense. Can't say it's a 5-3, 5-2, whatever. It is everything. These dudes are going to run everything, and that's why if you look at the depth chart, you'll notice a trend in about half of these dudes, and it's the versatility. It's guys that can kind of do multiple things. That's what Dan Quinn thrives off of here in Dallas, in my opinion. Jarvis dropped 1.
Super chat.
He said Dak and McCarthy both love the tight end. I think Ferguson has potential to be as special as Kelsey, not just looking at his number 87. Yeah, we know Kelsey is a guy that Jake Ferguson caught the attention of. He brought him up by name. It's funny, man, because Mike McCarthy is a former tight end, right? But if you go look at his time in Green Bay, they've had a bunch of productive ones. A ton of productive guys have come through Green Bay. And while they've been productive, usually they're just kind of a part of the system in the sense of not featured guys. I think that's why you're able to see so many roll in and roll out. As long as you've got the talent, you can be productive in that offense. And you can say, well, what about Aaron Rodgers? In my opinion, there was a report or not a report, I shouldn't say it. There was a article a while ago where I read it. He doesn't really like the Titans all like that. Now, the one cat that they had a couple years ago, I think Jesse Holley trained him. He had like 12 touchdowns in the red zone or whatnot. But if you go look at their overall volume, it's not like these dudes are ranking in the top 5 in yards, 1,000-yard receivers or whatnot. They're just kind of they're a product of their environment. You've got the studs at receiver in Green Bay when they were the peak, and then you had the tight end who ate off of that. And I think that's going to be the case here. I don't think the tight end is going to be a featured player. I think they'll eat off of what's around them, and it's a matter of when you get those opportunities, can you make the best of them? And what I mean is, this isn't going to be guys catching 20 balls a game. No, they're going to have, or 20 balls a season. They're probably going to have 50 to 60 receptions on the year. But that's not some astronomical number at the tight end position. Yes, Dak loved the tight end in the previous regime. I don't, make sure I use my words right here. I think some of those targets will trickle down to the receivers based off the scheme now. Based off the scheme. I do. So let's just say, we'll make it a small number. Let's say 10 to 15 of those targets that might have went to Dalton Schultz doing a curl now might go to Michael Gallup doing a crosser. Now might go to Brandon Cooks doing a sluggo. Now might go to Turpin doing a whip. CD Lamb on a slant flat combination, right? So that's all I mean. The tight end is still going to be obviously a major part of this offense, especially in 12, especially from a blocking standpoint, getting up the seams and just being a quarterback's best friend, right? A security blanket. But I don't think they're going to be a feature is what I'm getting at. Shout out to Twan.
Super chat.
Probably the original Twan, Mr. Right, Antoine Myers, man. Y'all give a big birthday shout out to our guy. Turned 34 today. Hey, man, you made it to your 30s, bro. That is no small feat. Pushing that 40. Love to see it, man. Happy birthday, good brother. And appreciate you being here, man. You've been here since, what? I feel like 2019, 2020. Me and Twan used to fuss all the time about Zeke, man. But he a real one. Even when we don't agree, we have an understanding. So I appreciate Twan. Shout out to you, bro. Happy birthday, big dog. And that's it for right this moment. All right, let's switch it and get to the phone lines, man. Let's talk to Marcus. What's good, Marcus?
Hey, Scott. What's going on with you, my friend? What's going on?
I'm doing fantastic, bro. How are you?
Hey, man, I cannot complain. I'm living my life, man. I'm living my life. Hey,
Like
sorry
it's
about what
golden?
happened yesterday, but me, yo, like it's golden, yo, like it's golden. I'm sorry about what happened yesterday, man. Neither wasn't my fault this time, so I hate to do that, but it neither wasn't me this time.
Oh, you talking about? Yeah.
Hey, man, yeah.
The boys was
I'm
tapping your phone. That's what the problem was. They was tapping your phone. But what's on your
As soon
mind,
as I
bro?
called me, I was about to say something about that. But, yeah, man, I'm not too much into the depth chart. They got to get me something to look at when, because they got these preseason games scheduled and whatnot. So all the teams got to slot somebody somewhere. And so you have to, that's why you play it out. So I'm not concerned one way or the other. A couple of points I got, I guess. The Sean McEwen thing, him doing fullback things, being multiple, giving them versatility is interesting to me because I think that battle between, because McCarthy likes fullback. And he it's just to have one on the roster. But it's not necessarily, again, about the position. It's about who can do the job. And so the real thing is probably going to be that battle for that spot or for that job is going to be between McKinnon and Hunter Lipke. And that's what's going to edge Lipke out to me. At least going to put him on the practice squad. That's where he's going to start if he hangs around at all. But and that farm system thing I said is that you said is key to that because McCarthy, like you mentioned before, unfortunately he's going to have kind of a short leash in terms of making this new offensive change work, and he's probably going to lean on guys, and like most teams do anyway. But in this particular instance, especially, he's going to lean on guys that can do the job right away, not guys that they got to groom into it. And so what you want to do is you want to have somebody that can come in there and do that job right away, that fullback, H-back, versatile flanker type dude. You want a guy come in and can do that job right now. So if the young guy that you like can see somebody else do it well, and then have a blueprint to follow. So that's going to be interesting there. It's going to be, do you keep Lipke or do you keep McEwen? If you keep McEwen, which I think they're going to do, then you're going to stash Lipke on the practice squad because he's going to be more like a Sean McEwen in the future than he's going to be like a running back or anything else. So that's my think on that. And I like the idea on the defensive side that Dan Quinn, because he likes to rotate the defensive ends and the defensive players, particularly on the defensive line. So that's what he's probably going for. He's going to go for multiple fronts. That's why I think even now with Neville Gallimore kind of getting back to being what he was before he hurt his arm, I see it's going to be tough for him to hang around if they really talk about multiple fronts because you need somebody on the nose to do that. And I don't think that's something Neville can do full time. You got a lot of guys that can play that 3-tech, play that B gap. You got a lot of guys that can do that. There's a person like that. Chauncey Goldston can do that. You drafted the Fahoku guy who they think can do that. They're trying to get to do that. So there's just not a lot of room.
But with Fehoko, I don't think he's going to do that this year, right? So if we're talking about this year, and Mozzie's going to be mainly a one tech, like for the most part, he's going to play one tech. There's be times you'll have Mozzie and you'll have Hankins out there at the same time. But when you look at, you'll have Osa, you got Golston, and maybe they look at Neville and saying, look, we want to keep 3. That's a lot. That's a lot of tackles to keep, right? Let me go look at the depth chart. It's 6 interior guys. So I can't remember how many they kept last year, to be honest with you. But they didn't have a Jonathan Hankins last year. They didn't have a Mozzie Smith last year. So, Neville's still fighting. But if they view him, because right now on the depth chart, again, coming in, he's the backup 3 tech.
Right.
So that's interesting.
And again, he's the backup. So they on the bubble with him. And if I was to put anything on what they do in the defensive line, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost the defensive end, because we keep looking for Sam Williams to either take Dorrance's spot or just get more playing time anyway. And if they move the Land kid and you want to see him play on the line and he shows you anything, we keep talking about, the interior. Hey, maybe you lose a Dante Fowler. I don't know if he's still around, but, you got a veteran guy there. But if all you're going to ask that end to do is maybe hold up.
I wouldn't like them to cut Dante. Dante was good for you last year, man. Like he's a fantastic pass rusher, and I'm trying to win 6.
Right,
so if I'm trying to win 6, I'll sacrifice an Isaiah Lamb for Dante Fowler.
I get you. Oh, yeah, and again, that's what the practice squad is for. Our practice squad is going to be crazy when you think about it, man. And maybe that's us as fans just overvaluing guys like a John Stevens. Because everybody's got people in the league that they like. I just think we got a lot of confidence in our coaching staff now, particularly on the defensive side with Dan Quinn. We know if we got guys, when these guys show up here and they playing for Dan Quinn at the level that they play in, we got dudes. So I don't too much worry about somebody offensively on the practice squad getting swiped. I'm worried about, we put somebody on the practice squad like Isaiah Land that, probably could play for it.
Yeah,
I think let him go.
I think they signed these UDFAs with the idea of getting most of them on the practice squad. We had this. I think we did a segment a few weeks back where we were like, usually about 3 to 4 UDFAs was last year was like 4, right? Make this team.
Right.
How many are making it now? I think when we went into it, I was like, yeah, man, Lipke could be the guy. Now it's like Lipke's out. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. It's
Jalen
crazy.
Moreno Cropper could be the guy. And look, I love Cropper, but Jalen Brooks has been super consistent, right? So I don't, unless they carry 7, he might not. So, Land and Tyrus Sweet, these guys ain't right at this second. There's no way you can say they're on a 53. So how many undrafted dudes are really going to make this roster? So if not many, I think they're looking at it as, look, man, let's get these guys on the practice squad and groom them like a farm system.
Yeah, because, in spite of what we think, a lot of people don't get poached off the practice squad. Most people don't poach off other people's practice squad, at least not right away.
I was about to say, if you go in the practice squad, you have the ability to keep them. It's different from cutting them in camp and preseason, and they go through the waivers. If somebody's on a practice squad, they'll come to, hey, the Philadelphia Eagles want to sign Blake Jarwin. So we know what the Cowboys will say. Okay, we'll call you up. You're on the roster now. So you are protected on the practice squad in a sense. Whereas if you cut them flat out in the preseason, they're not protected. They go through the waivers.
Right. I got you. Well, like I say, man, I can't wait for Saturday just to get a look at some football again, man. And look at our boys and see what's up. So I'm excited, man. Appreciate you taking my call, Stop. Thanks a lot, man. Man, have a good one, man. Have a good one.
You too, brother. It's our guy Marcus, man. Shouts out to all 655 of y'all in the chat right now. Do me a favor if you're enjoying today's show, which is so far, I'm knocking on whatever wood I can find. It's going smoothly. Go ahead and hit that like button for me, please. Please do that. We got some good stuff lined up for the rest of the week. Our guy Pat, who's down there, will be here on Thursday, giving us obviously the scientific method, his boots on the ground view of what's happening down there. Going to try to get another guest in tomorrow, and maybe we'll pick the conversation back up from Foots to King. But appreciate you guys for being in here. Good stuff today. Let's get back to it, man. We had Los holding on the line. What's good, Los?
Yo, good morning, Sky, man. How's your morning, man?
What's up with you?
Hey, can you believe it's 4 more weeks and it's officially football? And this week we get the first preseason, so I mean, it came fast. I'm excited. So
it did.
Just two quick things, man. I feel like what you and Foots the King talked about yesterday, great topic, great overall. And one thing that Foots the King that he caught my eye, what he said was, a guy can play action, and I always harp that we have never used it enough, or we have never used Dak's strength enough in, basically in critical situations. And I feel like with this new change of era, new scheme that we're going to utilize, I think it's going to be more into Dak's strength. And, man, I feel like that's going to have a hell of a year. And with the weapons he has, Scott, I mean, he's going to cook. Literally, he's going to cook someone because Cook is going to be wide open on the sideline because he's going to have to double someone, right?
Sure.
And that just fills me with excitement. And the second thing is, man, Mike is a problem, Scott. I think everybody's like, no, this, but man, I didn't. See, when we drafted Micah, we expected him to be, I still remember some people didn't even want Micah, right? We were like, who is this guy? Like, what are we going to get this guy for, right? So, man, this could be one of the greatest Cowboys, not of all time, but like, he can be up there, Scott. Like, I'm just saying he has the potential, right? And I feel like we got to live in the moment, and we got to be like, man, we got to be happy as hell, man, to have a guy like him on our team. Because it's been a while, guys. And this whole defense as a whole, I think they're on a mission. And I really do feel, Scott. I really do feel, Scott, like we're gonna hit on the floor running, and the only people that can stop us is us, like Michael Parsons said. So, hey, you have the great for the morning, Scott. Bless to you and your family, and keep on grinding, man. Peace.
Peace. Appreciate you, Los. Los excited, man, as we should be. I say this, and Iceberg Q just dropped it. He said, man, Sky, I'm worried about this offensive line. I think that's I don't think anything has changed since February, right? I don't think anything has changed from that offensive line. The O-line was always the worry in regards to depth, and it continues to be the worry. Now you have time, though, to address it. You have time to see more from these young guys. A couple of these veterans, they're getting wrapped up. Dennis Kelly, I think he got signed a few weeks back. Trey Turner got signed. There was another cat that I don't know if the Washington guy got signed yet, but Dalton Reisner's still out there. So there's guys out there. But I would feel much more comfortable if they went out and signed a veteran. I would. So that's the only thing for me is the depth of the offensive line. But when you look at the skill players, yeah, you were talking about them. I'll tell you what I'm excited to see here. Obviously, you've got Cooks, who's going to do some special things, I think, with this team, given that he's in a situation he might have never been in for real. Lamb, right? You get Gallup coming off a year or two. He's starting to stack good days off on top of each other. Jalen Tolbert, love the talent. Talent was always there. Year one was about the mental. As long as he could put that mental together with the talent, we figured he'd have the talent to do, and he does. He's showing it. Jalen Tolbert taking a year or two jump. Vach, cover your ears, dog. Lamido is Kevontae Turpin. I love the fact that I'm seeing Kevontae Turpin getting involved in the offense. I do. I'm all about the explosives. I'm all about trying to find a way to put the ball in their hands and to play like that. It's like a motion slant sluggo. Or I'm sorry, slant flat, right? Where they're using Brandon Cooks to get in the way. So many rub routes, Professor O. We get rub routes, dog. Whips. Crossers. Mesh. It's a route that a guy like Kevontae Turpin can thrive in. And, when you're just begging and pleading for them to get a guy like him involved last year and the excuses, hey, man, he doesn't know well, now I understand why he don't, because you wasn't putting him in these type of situations. Now he's getting involved in these type of situations, man. And that just adds another element to your offense. So you could put your ears, take your hands off your ears now, Voch. But I'm for real. I am excited that he's getting involved, man. I am. Nick said, "Have I seen a stop route yet?" Sure. Here's what I've seen, Knicks. And you're going to get stop routes. You're going to get hooks. You're going to get curls. These things are going to happen. But is there a purpose? Is there a family with it? Or is there something that you can build? And I saw hook with Brandon Cooks running a sluggo behind it. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? Or you got a hook this way and then you got somebody running a crosser behind it. Like, there is a purpose to these things. There are no, let me stop because we ain't seen it all. But I haven't seen all verts, all curls consistently. How many times did we come on here and see all verts and all curls? How many times did Jesse, if you watch Game Day Live, you heard Jesse say, hey man, I understand why there's so many all verts and all curls. That does not threaten the defense. So that's what I'm seeing, Knicks. I'm seeing things being combined with it. I'm seeing combo routes behind that, and I love it, man. All right, let's get back to it. We got 727 and 469, and we're gonna wrap it up. What's good, 727?
Hey, what's up there, Scott? It's the old Miss Amos here. How you been?
Famous. What's up, Mr. Amos?
Nothing much, man. Cowboy fans, I've been a Cowboy fan for over 50 years, and I'm going to let y'all know something. For the past 10 years, it's going to be the same shit show that you're going to see on the offensive line for the past 10 preseasons.
Damn.
You're going to see get the asses handed to them, rolled out to them. Oh, there needs to be a surprise and shock. Now, I got a funny feeling this year that we may actually see Josh Ball hammer his own. But don't get too much about that because the guy sitting in front of Josh Ball is probably a scrub, and he's gonna have his way with him like he did when he was in college with some players.
Gotcha.
But that's the way the Jones is gonna be. They're gonna have the same philosophy they had about wide receiver, being damn stubborn, and gonna force the issue of keeping these players. The silver lining, Cowboy fans, we have a coach that has been through adversity, that he has been through a situation where he had shitty offensive lines, dealing with situation because every time mostly we faced him in the playoffs, his offensive line was in shambles because I'm thinking we got him right now because that offensive line is in shambles. But McCartney, he found the way because when you got your own system, But they want to believe that this man don't know nothing. He ain't got no system or nothing. He don't have an offensive philosophy. The man does. Yeah. Coaching plays a lot in winning football games. We got a coach that can coach them up.
Mr. Amos, if you remember, bro.
Yes, sir.
If you remember, Coach McCartney won the Super Bowl when he had like 16 players on injured reserve. I think at that time, it was the most players ever on injured reserve for a team to win the Super Bowl. So McCartney know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't get that we win a Super Bowl just by not, I can understand that he would Barry Switzer. Mm-hmm. Just had things laid away and it was just handed to him. But the man has a resume. I didn't like him as a Green Bay coach, but I can't take the fact away that the man won a Super Bowl. So Cowboy fans, don't go out there and get that ESPN, Fox Network Kool-Aid that they've been seeing. That's Jim Jones brand Kool-Aid they giving y'all. Don't drink it. Look at the fact what's going on. I mean, he done more or less. He wasn't projected to do anything. For the past 2 years, they were projecting the Cowboys to do not a damn thing.
That's true.
And 3 years later, they said the same thing. We got 5 players in the top 100.
I will say this. This is what's hilarious.
One thing.
Yep. Go ahead. One thing.
Okay. Eagles fans, let you know something. Y'all know you hear it, but you got no damn game film on us now. You got no game film on our offense. All that crap y'all can look at over the years, you don't know what we're going to do. Same thing for Giants fans, the same thing for the rest of the league. You got to go into Mike McCartney archives to dig up something. Look at some old 49er stuff to dig up something, but you're not going to know what's going to hit you, the left hand, the right hand, or the foot. Go ahead, Scott.
Come on. Appreciate you, Mr. Amos. They ain't going to know what's coming. They're going to be looking at the left, and we coming with the right. Yeah, I appreciate you, Mr. Famous Amos. He's still on the line. Thank you, sir. Yeah. You know what's funny? Each year there's a collective of national media. Oh, Dallas ain't And then when Dallas goes out and they do something, oh, well, you know, they've had this amazing team. Wait. I thought we won shit. Yeah, I tune them out, man. I tune them out. Yeah, Coach McCartney ain't playing with y'all. Neither is Famous Amos. Famous? All right, top 100, he said, don't mean squat, solid. Yeah, Micah Parsons, I should say. He wasn't happy with his finish. Micah Parsons finished at number 9. Y'all know how I feel. I believe Micah Parsons is. If you ain't Pat Mahomes, I think you're the best player in the league. That's just me. And I will be honest. I'm biased. Flat out. I'll say it. 210, what it do? Wrap this thing up.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
All the time, brother. My bad. Go ahead, brother.
No, you're good. Yeah, going based off of what the last caller just said, man. Mike McCarthy's built up an organization more than a team, you know. Like just the way we're able to, you know, front adversity has been a complete 180, you know, of whenever Jason Garrett was here.
Oh, so true.
Mike McCarthy's, like, based off those records alone of the years that we lost our quarterback, coaching accounted for 2 more wins. And, you know, coming down to the end of the season, like, that's gonna show. And so.
Yeah, I remember times prior to Dak getting here when Tony was, hey, look, I get it. When quarterbacks go down, it's tough to win. But, bro, we didn't, like, at all. I think we won 1 game. You know what I'm saying? Specifically in 2015, the Matt Castle year, that 1 game I actually went to. It was the we beat Kirk Cousins and the Redskins at the time, overtime situation. That game was wild. But that was it. And he ain't do nothing. It was Dan Bailey who did all the heavy lifting in that game. So, yeah, not even just the quarterback. If Tyron went down, if Sean Lee went down, right? Like, I used to have this saying, when Jason Garrett had his horses, everything was gravy. It looked great, right? Oh, Jason Garrett, great coach. But I'm like, the testament to me of a great coach is not what you can do when you have all the horses. What can you do when adversity strikes? And the one time that he answered the bell, I still don't give him the credit. I'm giving it to Scott Linehan, was when Tony Romo went down and Dak Prescott stepped in. I think Dak and Scott Linehan helped carry that situation more than the Jason Garrett.
Oh, for sure. Changing up the scheme along with that loaded-ass roster, man. Like, that definitely carried Jason Garrett to the end over there.
Sure.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I'm excited for fucking Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, I tried getting I started work a little early this morning and listening to all those 3 and 4 letter networks, man. It gives that much more appreciation for what y'all guys bring between you, Vach, Nosi, everybody.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. It's like, y'all got me excited for this freaking this upcoming season preseason game. All the way up to the 4th quarter. You know, I'm excited to see what all the bottom of the roster guys look like now. Like, I'm excited for it.
Preseason football for Cowboy fans is literally all the way through the 4th quarter is for the diehard. Like, it's not for the weak. It's not for the casual. It's for the diehard. And if you are listening to this show, you are a diehard fan, you are absolutely going to love and be excited for Saturday, as you should be, man. Football's back.
Oh, yeah. I'm one of the sickos that sat through the entire 1st through 4th quarter on the Hall of Fame game. So.
Well. That's why I narrowed it down to Dallas. I ain't watching the 4th quarter of that game. But
yeah, I was just starving for some damn football, man.
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Brought out the damn Wingstop and everything.
I can dig it. All right, big dog. Appreciate the call, man.
Appreciate you.
Salute. Yeah, you listen to the 3 and 4 letter networks, you probably won't be excited about the season. They just regurgitate the same stuff. But you listen to us, we're going to overreact to the unofficial depth chart, the very first one of the off season. So we finna do. We talk about John Stevens Jr. Jones or whatever it is. You bring up Johns, Jacob Jingerheimer Smith, Stevens Jones to Stephen A. Smith. You're gonna be like, huh? Who? Or Dan Orlovsky? Excuse me? These are the people that are saying, What I'm hearing out of Dallas, I'm concerned about that. What are you hearing? Watch. Should be excited. These dudes about here, man. All right, let's get to a few more super chats. We'll hit the chat. We'll roll out. Clean day so far. Dwayne Brown dropped a dub in the super chat. Just support, man. Says thanks for everything.
Super chat.
Thank you, D. This will go to the computer fund. Trust and believe. And then Bill dropped one. Billy. I don't know if you want to be called Bill. I don't like being called Bill. Billy.
Super chat.
He dropped one that says, should we trade a pick or one of our players for one? Billy, if you're in the chat, can you elaborate here? Should we trade a pick or one of our players for one? Are you saying for offensive line help? I'm down with trading like a 7th round pick, 6th round pick, 5th tops, right? You know, I'm down for a day 3 pick for some depth. Sure. And then Brother L, great question.
Super chat.
He said, Frisco camp, any special plans, supporter meetups? So me and Vach, it shouldn't be a problem to get him down here, but Vach is going to be up here. I just looked, they dropped the times yesterday, by the way, August 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Cowboys training camp will be down here at Frisco. I'll be in attendance. Usually they used to be earlier in the morning. They're not now. So I'll do my morning show here. I'll head down to camp and it's like 6. A couple of the practices are like 5 something or 6 central. So they're pretty late practices. But what we wanted to do, and again, I'm kind of jumping the gun here a little bit. We want to run the Voch Lombardi live show after practice at the Omni. We want to kind of go to the Omni. Me, know how I am, how extra, you know, I'm trying to hold a live practice review down there at the Omni, whether it be out there on the balcony, whether it be inside, whether it be if they got a room. I'm trying to do it big to where we can do a fan meetup type of situation. I can meet a lot of you guys and we can rap. Because I meet a whole bunch of y'all at Texas Live, but something like this could be cool because it's training camp. There's going to be thousands of people out there. But so I'll keep y'all posted on that. We're trying to book the Omni for those 3 days and try to do at least one show where we've got the fans out there, but the other shows will be probably in the room or whatnot. So that's kind of the plan that we're trying to do. I think it'd be fun, man. I think it'd be fun. Greg said we should have Mo on. Man, we've been talking about this damn crossover forever. Mo's been going through some things, but we'll try to do that before. We got roundtable we need to get to. We got a crossover show between me and Mo we got to hit, and then the season be here before you know it. Be here before you know it. All right. We got through, y'all. So if it wants to go to crap right now, it is what it is. On the way out, though, all 600 of y'all, please do me a favor. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. Only if you enjoyed it. Y'all know how I feel. I ain't trying to be one of those dudes. Like, share, subscribe. Nah, don't like it. Don't share it. Don't subscribe if you don't fool with it. But if you do, man, it is definitely, as Vosh says, our virtual currency and will help elevate this thing. The growth has been real. I suck at this, but we've hit, let me make sure, because y'all know I put my head down at work. We've hit almost 23,000. We're at 22,000 subscribers. And if y'all only knew, you know, and a lot of y'all do, what it took to get here from this being the 2nd or 3rd channel that we had to start up due to some issues that happened. You know, we could probably be at 50 at this point, but we're going to get there. We're going to push and try to get there. All right. And it's all because of y'all. You know, y'all show up here every day. Y'all are just as dedicated as I am to put everything into this show, man. So I appreciate y'all for that, man. It's really, really, it's a lot of love coming my way for y'all. With that said, go ahead and move that out the way. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Let me go ahead and press this button. Get up out of here. Continue to send all your love towards Law. Somebody said, how's Law doing? About when you lose a mother, man. It's about as good as you can be at this point, you know? So continue to send your love towards Law, man. We love you, Law. We're with you. And rest in peace to Mom Law. I love y'all. We out of here. Peace.
Squad!